still with us, directors. We are going to start our presentation as lunch is getting set up. We would ask if you are on this side of the room to come together and be at tabletops. So probably here at 6, 7, 13, 12, 24, kind of in the middle here, so that you have colleagues that you can talk with. ACOVA members, if you could also be sitting with one of the tables, that would be great as well. We will get started, and then we will break a little bit. We'll have lunch, and then we'll come back and finish up as we're doing that. So we're going to be in the middle. Lunch will be over there in a moment, and then we will start our presentations here for our mini M&M. We appreciate everybody that stays. These are great conversations between our veteran, experienced directors, and hopefully a lifeline for our newer directors. My name is Eric Sorensen. I'm the president-elect for ACOVA. For you out there, this is my third year as a director at the Tempe Union High School District. I am a proud leader of that. I'm a proud leader for our state Administrators Association, and really, really enjoy our work here. If you can, please take out your phones and make sure that you have registered today for Mini M&M. This is important because we will have some information at Fall Conference, and anybody that has logged in that is a CTE leader or administrator will become part of our active membership, and we will have some voting items in November that are important to our Constitution. So we want to make sure we have an active member list that's correct. So if you can take care of that, we will do that, and I can slice and dice that after this particular meeting. I do want to acknowledge that we also do have some administrators that are online with us, so we want to say hello to you as well out there. If there are any questions or anything, please feel free to email any members of the board out there, and we will try to answer those questions if they don't get answered during our tabletop discussions here during M&M. So one of our first topics that we're talking about is the What's Happening, a CTE's Director's Guide to Important Dates and Tasks. And our member-at-large, Rebecca Robinson from Tombstone, will be guiding this conversation.
Sorry, we're talking important program monitoring stuff, because that's always fun. All right. Welcome. I'm Rebecca Robinson. I'm the CTE director at Tombstone High School, way down south. And yeah, we are in the middle of our program monitoring. Everything's due on Friday, so yay. So anyways, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. So as a brand new CTE director, a couple of things to keep in mind is that last year's Perkins grant is getting ready to close out. If you haven't done so already, the final narratives for your objectives in the grant are due. They were actually due on September 15th. So you have the areas of evaluation and accountability, career exploration / career development, professional development, skill development, academic integration, increased student achievement. Those are the 6 areas in the grant where there are objectives that are included. Some of your grants may have more than one objective, but you have to write a final narrative for each one of those, finishing off last year's grant. Also, final narratives for performance measure improvement plans. If you had a performance measure improvement plan in place for one or more of the performance measures, you have to write a end of the year narrative for those as well. And if you haven't done them yet, you'll need to do them as soon as you possibly can. And on the next couple of slides, I'll kind of walk you through, if you've never done those before, just kind of what it looks like. So when you go into grants management, you're going to go to your Perkins grant, your FY24 Perkins grant. Make sure you're in last year's grant. And you're going to click on the, you're going to go to your sections and go to the progress summary or final narrative for each of the 6 areas. So for example, I have those circled: evaluation and accountability. Some of those, like I said, may have more than one objective that are going to need a narrative. Okay. So on the left-hand side, you'll see we go from also the Perkins measure improvement plan, sorry, can't speak today. When you go into the improvement plan, you'll see each different improvement plan that was written, and you'll have an area for the improvement, your final narrative as well. So go ahead, I think my next slide has a better picture of that. Maybe not, I thought I had one in there. Oh, anyways. As Sam mentioned this morning, right now the CTE data portal is closed. It's supposed to be reopened October 15th. On the QR code, you'll see there's a link to a document that they put out with all of those important deadlines. As soon as that document comes out, I print it out in color. It's posted by my desk. It's posted by my CTE data reporter's desk. So those important dates are going to be right there, readily available. I know the big things that are coming up. So some of the things that you're going to be doing in the data portal when it does open is to update your contacts. Make sure we have correct names and email addresses for data reporter, CTE director, help me out, finish out, business manager. Yeah, college career director. Yeah. So there's several spots to fill in for contacts. Also, the next thing you'll look at in the data portal is your coherent sequence. You want to make sure that you have all of the courses in the sequence, even if you don't have enrollment in them. So for example, this year we are starting construction technologies, and though I may only be teaching construction technologies 1 right now, I have to make sure that both 1 and 2 are in the coherent sequence, even if there's no enrollment in the second course yet. So please make sure that you put both courses in there. On October 15th, this is going to be the snapshot day for fall enrollment. That's the date where you're going to go into your SIS system and look for the enrolled students in each program on that date. And that's the capture date. So enrollment isn't actually going to be due until, is it January? I think it's January sometime, January 15th. So you'll have time to get that enrollment uploaded into the data portal, but you're going to do that based on who was enrolled on October 15th. Also in the data portal, the FY24 placement survey will open, and the FY25 credentials will open, as well as FY25 exemption requests. So a lot of those things are going to be opening up once the data portal opens middle of October. So I think we got a couple more getting the... There we go. So in your coherent sequence, make sure that you go into, that's going to be entered into the data portal. Secondly, again, make sure each course, all the courses in your program are included, and make sure you use the correct zip code. We've had this issue many times. Each year, that coherent sequence list, sometimes zip codes get changed, and if they're not entered correctly in your system or in the coherent sequence, it's not going to match up with what your kids are actually enrolled in. So the updated codes are on the ADE website, and any program that has a new zip code is going to be highlighted in yellow. I've gotten in the habit each year, as soon as that list comes out, I print it out, and I give it directly to my counselor who does our scheduling, and he builds the system, or builds the courses in our SIS system so he can update the codes and make sure they're correct. Okay, next. That's all for me. Are there any questions on kind of those beginning of the year issues that you're working through? Anything specific, anything general? Yeah. Okay. All right. Are we doing table time between groups? Yeah. Okay. All right. So if there are questions.
So with your groups there, with all of the information from the coherent sequence to the data portal, have discussions about what might be questions that you have, and then with anybody at your group, what are some of the best practices that are there? The ACOVA members are also at most tables so that we can answer questions as well. Once we do about a 5 to 10 minute tabletop, we'll break for a moment for lunch because lunch is all set up. We have some great student-made food here from EVIT, so they've done a wonderful job taking care of us here, and then we'll come back for the rest of them. So let's do our tabletop talk, and then we'll break for lunch in a few moments, okay? All right. I hope those have been some fruitful conversations. I know I had a couple of good ones while I was out there. Why don't we start with some lunch? Lunch is served over here in the other room. Start down by the waters, and you can work your way up. But please take a pause, take a minute, talk with colleagues, and have some lunch. Okay? Okay, I think we're going to continue going. Please continue to finish your lunches. Please go and have more. We have plenty to go around. But we'll get started. We're going to talk about in our next session teacher certification. Oh, is there any questions from our table talk that we need any clarification? Or did we do good in our table talks? Cricket, cricket, cricket. Thank you. All right, so we're going to bring Joel Wakefield, PD extraordinaire at Westmec, to talk about teacher certification.
Well, thank you. I'm not going to use the mic unless my voice does not project. Can you use it for the people at home? Oh. Do we have people online? Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Well, I will then use the mic so that you can all hear. Thank you, Eric, for the wonderful introduction. My name is Joel Wakefield, and when I'm not working with ACOVA as the treasurer, I work at Westmec, and my job duties there are professional development, as well as the wonderful job of helping teachers, one, to get certified, and secondly, to keep their certification. And it can be a long and difficult task to understand the process. And so what I want to do today is to help you understand the process. I've given you a guide that comes from the Department of Education. I've added a couple little notes in there that will hopefully make it a little bit easier for you. I don't have slides because I'd rather you put your hands on what you're working on. But I would be remiss if I did not have Amber Gloria stand up just for a quick moment. You heard Amber just a little bit this morning. Amber is the new Premier Series coordinator. And so if you are wanting or needing, thank you, Amber, needing courses for deficiencies, which we'll talk about in just a moment, she's the one to go to because she really specializes in making sure that there are courses available, especially for those in Kingman or other places that are more rural, that are not metropolitan Phoenix. So that's a part of the state association that provides that for you. So please make contact with her so that you can learn a little bit about this. Well, to talk a little bit about certification, you may be sitting back and thinking, oh, I don't have any troubles with certification. All my teachers are certified. I have teachers for every program, but wait. Fall break hasn't happened yet. Christmas break hasn't happened yet. All the things that happen throughout the school year. And so I want you to know a little bit about this, the process, as I was talking at our table, a little bit about how teachers get certified so that you can then lean on those around you as well as ACOVA to help you with this process. So what I've given you is actually a document that was put together by the group that I work with, as well as Susan Ferretta at the Department of Education in CTE. And it really is a checklist that you would hand to somebody that you have a conversation with about how you get certified. And so what I'd like to do is I'd like you to take notes on it. If you don't have it, I've got some extras over here at the front that you can. But essentially, you'll have somebody follow this process and just work through the different steps. At the front, you will see a little QR on the front. And yes, if you want to grab some right over there, yes. You'll see a little QR. The QR goes to the actual page on the certification portal. It doesn't go to this exact document, but this exact document is on that page, is on that web page. I won't go through each of the steps. I've passed them out, so they should have them at their tables, so thank you. The first step is that somebody has to go get a state-approved Department of Public Safety fingerprint clearance card. It's a unique card for teaching. It's not just a regular, hey, I want to get an IVP card. It has to be unique to teaching, and they have to go through that process. You can't even begin to start applying to become a teacher until that has been cleared. And then somewhere out there in black magic, They point that IVP card to the portal so that they can then create an account to start applying. Now I want you to go to the bottom of this page and put a big star by the text that I've added. It says the CTE teacher certification system will be offline to transition to a new platform during the week of September 23rd to 29. I received an email today in my personal email that said that same thing. So if you're trying to get teacher certified during that week, it's not going to happen. If anybody needs to be recertified in that week, it can't happen. So everything is offline. They're going to have to either do it before that time or after that time. And I can talk to you more individually about that. But just when they go at the last minute to put their information in, they won't even be able to do that. This is a long overdue portal that they've been asking for. So then they get their card, and then you'll go through a couple other things that you need to be mindful of. So let's turn to page 2 to get a little bit of understanding around these options. And we won't take a lot of time to go over all of them. But generally, people from industry will fall under one of these 5 options. Option A is they have a degree in that field of study. Maybe they have an associate's in or a bachelor's in a welding field or something like that. They can apply that to get certified. Option C is somebody that has 6,000 hours in the field. They may have worked 15 years, but they only have to qualify 6,000 hours. So those are the 2 most popular options for people from industry. Now, if you look over to option E is also an option. It was given to career and technical education about 7-8 years ago because there was an incredible teacher shortage. And it was an option that said if you have 5 years of experience and a degree or degree or a certificate, then you can go under the specialized option. We don't like option E because it doesn't require any teaching of how to be a teacher. And so that's exactly what we're talking about. They use their industry experience, they get certified under option E, and automatically they can become a teacher. But they don't know how to be a teacher. So it helps us in many ways because they don't have deficiencies. It's problematic in other ways because they don't have any deficiencies. And the deficiencies are courses to teach them how to teach. I'm going to pause right there and ask anybody have any questions?
With the new portal, are they still going to have option E?
Yes. So the portal simply is the platform that hosts all of this information. So yes, option E will still be there. So you make a choice based on their education, their training, their certificate, and their hours to get them through choosing which option you want them to take. And then, of course, you can see at the bottom of this page, there are 6 classifications that you're getting them appropriately certified for. And then they can make application. They'll apply, and then they have to sometimes submit transcripts, have those sent to the Department of Education, or upload a valid certificate. They can't upload an expired certificate. If it happens to be for ASE, for automotive, it has to be a valid cert. And plan on waiting about 6 weeks once the application is done. So it does take quite a bit of time. There are great people down at the Department of Education and Certification. They're working best to get as many people through the system as they can, and we work well with them, but it just simply takes time. There's just not enough people for the demand of getting people certified. Are any questions about anything I've gone over initially? All right, so the next thing I'd like to chat about real quickly are this thing called deficiencies. Deficiencies are courses that teach people who have now become teachers about how to teach. And so there could be classes like grading and assessing, CTE essentials, work-based learning. There's about 28 to 30 courses that teachers can take on their deficiency pathway. The last page I've given you, it says a CTE teacher PD plan. These are all the courses that teachers can take that need to have deficiencies removed. And so what we encourage you to do is to take a page like this, print it, fill it out for each of your teachers to see where they are along that pathway. It shows you, what we've got is some steps in there. These are the encouraged. If you had to have a first course, here would be your first courses, your second courses. But for most of the courses, there are not many prerequisites required. Where they took the course, if they attended, and if they have to do homework. Attending is not getting credit. Attending is the first part, completing homework is the second. And interestingly is enough is that many people come to class and they are great participants, and they what? They never do their homework. These are teachers. They never do their homework, and they don't get the credit, then they have to retake the class. So you keeping on your teachers, did you do the homework? And you'll get a special certificate when you do that. So let's turn back a page, and you're looking at the page that has the two certificates at the bottom. And understanding this is very critical because teachers may be thinking that they're getting credit, and they go down to the Department of Education to turn in certificates that don't count. And we don't want that to happen. So at the bottom of the page where it says these two certificates, the certificate on the left is a verified certificate. You want to put a star by that one. The elements of an approved certificate has the state seal at the top, so it will have the current school superintendent or a previous school superintendent that was in office when they took the course. It has the 15 professional development clock hours in the center. It's got to say 15 clock hours. And then the last thing at the bottom, it has this, and I apologize for the small print. It says that this activity is a verified ADE, CTE approved course or staff development. So it shows the combination between certification and CTE. If it doesn't have that, it is not an approved course, and it will not count for deficiency removal. And so there have been many people that have gone down to the Department of Ed with an important certificate that's on the right, or one that maybe is issued from a conference or issued from your school, and those simply don't count for deficiency removal. They count for you and I that have a full standard certificate, but it doesn't count for the deficiency removal. Any questions? Rebecca, and then we'll go to the back. Great question. So once a teacher has removed all their deficiencies, then they move into a cycle of 15 hours for every year that the certificate lasts. So they're issuing 12-year certificates now. So for each year, which will be 180 hours, they can get any certificate, either of the samples at the bottom. It could also be a certificate from a conference attendance or whatever it might be. There's a lot more latitude for those, so great question. There was a question in the back. How can I help you?
Is there a difference between semester hours and professional development clock hours?
Semester hours are equivalent to college credit. So one college credit is 15. One college credit is 15, what they call semester hours. So one of the Premier Series courses is equivalent to one college credit. So if a teacher would like to take college classes, instead of taking 15 of these, what we call Premier Series courses, they can take 5 approved college classes from a post-secondary institution, like a class in classroom management, at a community college. So if they take a classroom management course, that counts for 5, and then they only have to take, or that counts for 3, and then they only have to take 5 college classes. So I apologize for the terminology, but there is a little bit of difference between the two. John?
Joel, explain E again. What is the minimum requirement that they would need to be certified under E?
Okay, great question. So to be certified under option E, they have to have 5 verified years of experience. If they can't verify 5 years, they can't go option E. And once they have option E, they have to have a certificate or a degree. It could be a bachelor's or an advanced degree, or it could even be an associate's degree. So it's not the education and the certificate, it's the education and the education or the certificate. But 5 years is the priority.
So is there a pathway if you have a teacher who traditionally is a teacher but wants to go into CTE? Is there a quick and easy pathway for that?
Let me qualify that. There is a pathway for that. Not quick and easy. So let's talk. Thank you, John, for that segue. So if you turn to the pages with your options, option B is a pathway for a science teacher to come back and to teach. Oh, maybe they were an engineer. They had some experience in engineering. So what they do in option B, you would then apply under option B. And prior to applying, and I had a conversation with a teacher about this just recently, they went with option B, and instead of being deficiencies where you get certified and then have to take the classes, you have to have 3 classes before you can get certified, so they're prerequisites. And they're classes that are unique to CTE. So Joel Wakefield, teacher extraordinaire, wants to move into CTE. I have to have 3 classes about CTE. You won't find that on my transcripts. It could be CTE Essentials, Work-Based Learning, CTSO New Advisor, using advisory councils, something that's completely unique to CTE. 3 of those classes first before you apply. And the reason it has to be first is because once you apply and then you get your report back from the Department of Education, they will tell you, you have 60 days to clear all of these prerequisites, or else you're going to have to reapply. So we say take all the classes first, and then apply, and then whatever they ask in addition, you can then return that. But there's some other things like turning in the most current year's evaluation, and then you also have to verify 240 hours of industry experience. It can be, yes, question.
So would that apply to ed professions, though? So like in ed professions,
I teach I want to go under education and training. I'm a certified teacher and I'm going to teach ed professions. You probably could go under option E because you have a degree in education and probably 5 years. So you'd go under education and training for your ed professions teacher. Eric.
What happens if I don't know which pathway to send my teacher?
Call me. I mean, yeah.
But let's just say, like, okay, so we pick an option.
Mm-hmm.
Is there somebody looking at the options at ABE and saying, hold on, wait a minute, if you put in
Yeah.
D, you really should be B?
One of the things they've done in recent years is that they have looked at all the data that you submit, and they will help you navigate that process. You may certify under option C. We think you can go under option E, and they'll put you in that direction. So they will help navigate that process. Generally, there's nobody to reach out to say, which do I choose? I mean, to call that phone number, it's about a 45-minute wait because, as I said, great people doing great work, but just have a lot of work on their hands. So the last thing real quickly that I want to say is that option D, you'll see in there also. Option D truly is a teacher prep program for a unique field like ag. The University of Arizona has a program for ag education. And you go through a teacher prep program and you're unique to ag. And so you would qualify under option D. It's not very common, so typically we don't steer people to option D because they've already been taught of how to get through those options. So just real quick, a couple last things that I want to point out to you. On one of the last pages that I showed you a couple of the certificates, there's a second QR because one of the deficiencies is Arizona and U.S. Constitution. If you had it in your undergrad, you don't have to take it again. But the next question is, where do I take it? And so this QR will take you to the actual page on ADE's website, and it lists all of the approved vendors or schools that you can take it at. So that's kind of hidden in all of the documents that they have at the Department of Ed. But they will tell you, I can take POS 221 or 222, you can take it at Rio, you can take it at University of Phoenix, you can take it at, and so forth. So that will help you with that. Yes, ma'am.
Once the teacher gets their certification and it's posted on the teacher certification portal,
Yes.
does it say which option they received their?
No. You can call and ask. A lot of this is public record, so you can ask those things. I'm amazed I can call down there and ask these questions and find out about all of us. I mean, but it's like, when were they certified? What deficiencies do they have? All that sort of thing. So some of it's public record. You could ask which option, but it's not out there for others to see. The last thing, just real briefly, these deficiencies, they are offered, they're offered by ACTEAZ, and I pointed out Amber so that you could go to her to find out about them. They're also offered by Pima JTED, if you're in the Tucson area or the southern Arizona. And they're offered by WestMech if you're in the metropolitan Phoenix area. Anybody from around the state is welcome to go to any training, so you don't have to be from that region to go to that training. We host people from 57 different districts across the state at WestMech. So people come from around the state. I'd love to brag about the quality of the PD, but in any event, I think you'll enjoy the training that you get no matter where you go. But there is the link on here to a website that you can go to. And I wish I could find the exact place. In here, it will give you a link to the ACTEAZ website, and it'll show you a calendar by month. And on that calendar, it will show you all of the training around the state. It'll show you what WestMech has, what ACTEAZ has, what Pima JTED has, if they have something up in the WAVE area. Anybody that has a training that's approved will be on this one calendar, so you can help your teachers plan that out. John.
Just a couple comments. So I've heard a couple things about being able to verify where my teachers are certification-wise.
Yeah.
Just comment that don't count on your HR department to reach out to you or your teachers and say, hey, you've got this deficiency, you haven't met it, whatever. So that's really on us. You know, a couple good things. You can go to OASIS, that as updated, as the Department of Ed updates it.
Yeah.
You get copies of their certifications from HR. It's really us following up with them to find out where they're at, what they need, that kind of thing. The second one is, if you're not involved in the hiring process of your teachers, you want to be very careful because, as you're finding out, most administrators don't understand the CTE side of certification. So they will hire somebody and surprise you to find out that they are not certified to teach CTE. And then you run into funding issues, right? So I would highly recommend that either you're part of that process or you're making it very clear to those decision makers that before you hire anybody, here's the proper certification.
Yeah.
And make sure
Yeah, and HR, a lot of times there's so many things to understand about certification. CTE is very unique, and look at all the different options you have to get certified. And so I would encourage you, as John had indicated, to be involved in that process. And with all due respect, don't trust your teachers to understand the process. We need to take part in that, and a plan like this will be an opportunity for you to know where they're at each year. If you need to sit down with them as you think about funding to be able to pay for these courses, where you're going to take them, and so forth. But you know, as I talked about Amber, we are involved and will help all teachers understand the process. Please don't hesitate to contact us. So thank you.
Do we need some table talk? That's what I'm coming up to ask, but take a few minutes, have a few little table talk information. Joel will walk around as well about teacher certification. All right, I have one more addendum to my discussion, because this is an important one that you'll want to take note of. Option A, teachers. Option C, teachers have this thing called the PK test. The PK test is a test that they have to take within the first 3 years. It's a deficiency, and it's a 100-question test. It costs them $150 to take. Now, what you want to do is, your district has the option to write a waiver for them so that they don't have to take the test. But they have to have 3 years of instruction. So it'll show up as a deficiency, but if they've been teaching for you 3 years, then your district can choose to complete a waiver. It's at the district's discretion. So if they get certified in July and they start teaching in August, 1 year to the next year, 2 years, 3 years, they've taught 3 complete years, your HR department can fill out a waiver on their behalf, and it waives them from taking the PK test. If they have to take the PK test, there's a Premier Series course to prep them for it. So we have a course prepared to do that. But that waiver is kind of hidden down in there. If you want your teachers, if you want to understand that, we can help you with that.
So we'd reach out directly if we wanted to go that route. Does that document?
Yeah, you want me to come chat with you about that?
What's that?
I'll chat with you about the waiver.
All right, we are going to bring up our next presenter, Adelaida McLaughlin from Pinion, to work on program management.
Hi, everybody. I'm Adelaida McLaughlin. Like Eric said, I am the CT director for Pinon Unified School District, way up north on the Navajo Reservation. And program management, I always refer to the ADE CTE website. It's like instead of the Holy Bible, it's the holy website for any administrator or your teacher. I do a PD with my teachers and go through that whole website. That's your holy website as an administrator. So the highlights I have on there are things that, I go on a daily basis that I use a lot in my teachers. So that approved program listing, you definitely want to go into that program listing with your programs that you have and see, is it a 2-year program, 3-year program? What do they need to do? It's very detailed when it comes to your program management for you as a director. And your teachers see it too. You don't want to hide anything from them while you're talking about stuff like that. So elements of approved programs, it delivers the program coherent sequence. It's aligned to their technical standards, so you see what they're doing as well, what they have to do. It involves the industry. This is just the website that goes into great detail for you as an administrator. Okay, you can go next one. The Premier Series, Instructional Best Practices, I go on to the ACTEAZ. That's the best website to go on to because it has this calendar, and Joel talked about this calendar. This is the calendar right there. And you can click on each one of those thing, and you'll know exactly where that PD is going to be held. If it's WestMech, or is it ACTEAZ, or it's PIMA, okay? And you can create that individual plan that Joel talked about with your teachers, and you can gear it with that. I like this calendar because I look at that calendar and then I look at their CTSO calendar. Always go through your CTSO calendar because you don't want a teacher to be going to a PD when they're supposed to be going to their CTSO conference or something like that. So you have that individual meeting with that teacher, like, hey, this is what I think you should go to. I recommend it, especially if they have deficiencies on their thing. WestMech and ACTAZ, especially WestMech, has very detailed by each month. PIMA, you have to go in and log in, get your username and all that to even see what's on there. But on here, it shows everything. Okay. So the CTSO advisor training, I recommend sending your new advisors or whoever's coming new in, definitely that new advisor training. Send them to that. It's online too. They get to be individually with that CTSO specialist. They get to talk, they get to ask questions, they go through the whole guidelines of what they need to do as a new CTE teacher. The advanced training, I even send like my dinosaur teachers to that, like they have been there for over 20 years, because things keep updating and changing, okay? So you want to send them to that. And I've had great stuff coming from my teachers going to this. Even my second year teachers say, hey, let me go back into that new advisor training because I want to make sure I get everything. So I do send them twice sometimes. And like that website that I talked about on ADE-CTE, there's CTSO resources for our teachers on there. So it's not just for an administrator. Show your CTE teachers that this is the website you should go to. It gives you everything. And I kind of do that because it might be one simple question your teacher has for you when they could have looked it up online and got more in depth. But I always refer my teachers, I'll tell them, but I'll refer them, hey, if you want more in depth into that, go on to that website. Okay. Purchasing and purchase orders. It depends if you're a rural school or you're not a rural school. Your purchasing and your purchase orders might be different. From being a rural school, I I enter the purchase orders into the system, the budget code and all that. But what I suggest is schedule a meeting with your business manager or definitely your federal programs person. Get that meeting that's one-on-one on what the procedures are and the policies are, so that way you get it right. Instead of doing it and then they'll send it back to you like, oh, you didn't do it right, and you learn by your mistakes. So schedule that meeting with them, and then you get to know them, and you get to establish that bond with your business manager or federal programs, okay? This quick reference guide, and it's on the ADE website. I have that right where I sit, and I'm always looking at it. Just, hey, because I have a teacher that will say, hey, can I buy this? And if I don't know, something comes up, I always refer to that list right there and reference if I can buy or not. And also your grant specialist, you can shoot them an email, and they answer pretty quick. If, hey, what budget code could I use for this? Does this fall under? If you just don't know, you can shoot that email. I also recommend, like your business manager or your federal programs, to do a training with your CTE teachers, because sometimes they don't know what consumables mean, and they don't know what they should order or not. So when you have that meeting of PD with them, with the business manager, they come in and do a PowerPoint of everything. They know exactly, okay, what can I order? What do I need to do this? So that's really nice. I also recommend going to an AASBO training. That is a really good training. It actually scares you as an administrator when it comes into the purchasing and ordering stuff. That's a good training to go. And this is like the holy, this right here, the USFR is like the holy Bible of you as purchasing. They give you a little book when you go to this training, and you can look up everything on their budget codes. It even has your programs in there, which budget code they are in there. So that is a good training to go to. I recommend going to that training. It's really neat. And then you establish that relationship with AASBO person that is designated for your area. And then depending on who does, like Heinfield, Mitch, or whoever you guys use at a school that inputs that stuff into the system, they're there, and you establish that connection with them that you can email them like, hey, can I do this? Can I not do this? And they get back to you right away. I think that's it. Any questions? Oh, go to your tables and ask questions. Good?
Okay, are we good? Do you need more time, or are you ready to move on to the last thing? We're trying to get you out of here by, what is it? Trying to get you out of here by 1 o'clock. Everybody's good? There's the alarm. Okay. So before I get to my last session, I want to thank a few people. Jonathan Robigo, he's the guy sitting back there by the camera. He has been the one that has taken care of the live streaming and recording of this meeting and the ADA. So thank you, Jonathan, for doing that for us. We appreciate you. And then Chef Bruce Sandground, he's the one that you've seen him run around. His lunch was fantastic. So if you get a chance, if the kids come back out or you see him, let him know how much you enjoyed the lunch. Okay, so the last thing this is a common question with new directors, especially if your boss is asking you, why are you gone so often, right? Because as CTE directors, we do attend a lot of things, and that's because we have a great support network. But sometimes our bosses don't understand that, right? And the purpose for those. So in coordination with the ACTE-AZ and the ADE, we put together kind of a calendar of events. And Stephen Welch is going to, in his role, he's trying to build this CTE family, and he wants to brand it. And so I didn't want to have too many handouts of stuff that we put together until he brands it. But we collaborated and said, hey, let's put together something of all the events, and then as ACOVA, we can share with our newer directors, what are those things that really are important in your first couple years? And then what are some things that are really nice to go to if you have time and energy and the bandwidth that you can go to? But really focus on the real important necessities, right? So we put together this. So, and by the way, all of this that has been presented today will be on our website. So you'll be able to go back, and we'll have the EVIT link as well for this meeting, so you can go back and listen to it if you want to. Anyway, so these are some of the things that we've identified that, hey, if you're a new director, make sure you go to these things. Okay, if you have to pick and choose, make sure you go to these things, right? So we're already through July, obviously. September, you're already here from any M&M. The ADE, any kind of training that they offer, you want to go to. And I will tell you that it doesn't matter how long you've been a CT director. It's very beneficial to go to any training that the ADE offers, because as you heard today, they change platforms, or they change requirements, or they update something, right? And so if you go to those trainings, you're often going to get that information that you need. Coming up in November, we highly recommend that you go to Fall Conference. It is specific for CTE directors in the state. There's a lot of great breakout sessions. We try to address many of those critical issues that our membership has brought to us. So we try to provide some PDE, some best practices, those kinds of things, because those are the things you asked for, right? And then in in February, again, there's going to be more training by the ADE, and then we get into our midwinter conference that's we're co-sponsored with ACTE-AZ, and same kind of thing. They generate the sessions, but it's always going to be directly related to what CTE leaders need. Okay, so if you had to go back to your boss and say, hey, these are the things I really need to be able to go to. I need the time, I need the backing to be able to attend these things, okay? Is there a second slide, Melanie, or is it just one? Just one, fantastic, okay. So just wanted to give you that. Again, we will, as we work with the ACTE-AZ and we get that full list of events, you'll have access to that as well. But again, it's kind of one of those things that, hey, these are the essentials, and then if I can attend these other ones like national conferences and things like that, which are fantastic, then you'll know exactly when those are. Kind of nice to have kind of a one-place stop of calendar items, right? Because we get notifications all the time about we're having this, we're having that. We should be able to identify all those for the year for you. Okay? All right, really no tabletop discussion on that one. Any advice from any of our veteran administrators in the room about attendance at different events? Rebecca?
When I first started as a CTE director, this is
Yeah, yeah, yes.
I would say that if you don't walk away from anything other than today, find a buddy. It's really what ACOVA is to help you, is to find somebody who you can call, doesn't matter where they are in the state, because we're here to help.
100%. Yes.
I just want to, in contrast to what she was saying, like, I know we are new to this and we've been sending back and forth emails to your team. And I appreciate your team because they're so responsive and they're so helpful. They are, we can call them, we can talk to them. They are so helpful, respond right away. This meeting, many M&M was really helpful. I mean, we're still beating over the bush, but we'll be getting to the point for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great learning, and actually, you're very supportive. Your team is really supportive. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you. We appreciate that. We hope we're doing our job.
We lost by, like, it feels a little better.
Yeah, right. And you're right, and Joel, you're right. You know, the important thing is you're starting to put some names with faces, some folks that you know you can reach out to get a little extra help. Our ACOVA board is ready and willing. We're all full-time employees, so we do it the best with the time we have to support our membership. But we're always there to help. And then there's those that are in your own CTED district, I'm sure, that have experience that can provide that support as well. But there's no boundaries in CTE in our state, right? So you can call any of us across the state if that helps you. Everybody and anybody is willing to help. And that's one of the discussions we had back at our table, was that the CTE community, it truly is a community of support. There's very few other departments on school campuses that have the strength of support that CTE has. If you're a teacher or an administrator in CTE, you're going to get all the support, all the PD that you can possibly ask for. It's always there waiting for you, right? So if your head is spinning a little bit because you're new in your position, don't worry, that doesn't stop. It just keeps going and going. But it does get a little bit better. It slows down just a little bit. Yeah, please be a part of that network. Eventually, everybody in this room will be the veterans, and you'll be able to help those who are kind of in your shoes today. Okay? All right. Yes?
I know you reiterated up there, you have the calendar that shows like the major ADP training and stuff. There's the smaller training, like there's the grant management training, there's the fiscal responsibility training, there's the portal training. I highly encourage you to take time to go to those, because again, you'll build a network, but you'll also, it's sometimes when you come in as a CTE director for the first time, it's everything and it's just like overwhelming. They help break it down, so it's just, today we're just gonna focus on this. And so, if you can't make it to those ADE meetings, they're very beneficial as well. They're not those major ones, like today was a good overview, but those ones really dig into the meat of different things.
Absolutely. Okay, anything else from anybody? Eric?
If you're coming to fall conference, please register for fall conference and please book your hotels. I'm working with the three hotels that we're with, along with our list, to make sure everybody with the new way that we're doing conference, everybody's in their correct areas, because the focus of the conference is still administrators. We like the addition of the counselors. We love the addition of Premier
Very good. Board, anything I forgot? What? First time for everything? Yeah, it's just you. Okay, okay. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time today and in attendance. Again, reach out to any of us anytime for anything you have, okay?